Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show for you today. Yeah, we're going to talk about our friends up in Kentucky. This situation, not many people are talking about this, but I'm going to. Kentucky has a great basketball tradition and program, and that's going to continue, clearly. But their football situation is a nightmare. And it's not going to get any better anytime in the near future for sure, and maybe not long term, because their priorities are so clear-cut that you can't deny it anymore. And I've been following this for a couple of years of really kind of, ever since the NIL popped up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be real tricky for Kentucky. And they've made their decision, and it's not to spend on football. Let's take a look at what's going on with Kentucky football right now. Now, as you can see, they've lost all three of their SEC games, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Georgia. They beat two teams, the Toledo Rockets and the Eastern Michigan Fighting Dust Mites, and that's it. So they're 0-3 in the SEC this year. Folks, they were 1-7 last year. They've lost their last 8 games in a row in the SEC, and they're 1-10 for their last 11. I mean, that's bottom of the barrel. And here's the thing. Mark Stoops didn't forget how to coach. He still knows how to coach, but he knows the NIL situation is tragic up there. And everybody, look, this is a bad marriage. Let's just call it what it is. They're staying together for the kids. That's what's happening here, because Mark Stoops went and hooked up with Texas A&M, and Kentucky is like, okay, you're going to get your way on this, and you're going to get your big contract that they wound up giving him to keep him there. But they haven't forgotten what he did. And so this is a very unfortunate marriage for both of them. Mark Stoops is not happy. Kentucky's not happy. The kids aren't happy, but they're waiting until they go to college. I guess is what they're going to do. And they're stuck with him for a few years, and he's stuck with them because his buyout's ridiculous. Because of his dalliance with, I guess that's the right word, with Texas A&M basically hooking up with A&M, he got this big contract, and he's owed $37.7 million if they let him go after this season, almost $40 million, and it all would be due in 60 days. So that puts Kentucky in an impossible situation. Look, you got super lucky that Calipari walked away without his $20 million and went to Arkansas. That's not going to happen here. Mark Stoops has made it very clear he's not leaving without his money.
I mean, I hate to give anything like that legs. There's zero. I told you last year, right? You know what I mean? You guys could write and say what you want about me, but I mean, I told you there's zero chance I'm walking away. You know what I mean? Zero. And, you know, there's no quitting me. You know, so that's unequivocally 100% false. You know, and anybody says otherwise is lying.
You said at the start,
and I don't want to address that crap no more.
All right, that was a question that was given to him about did he go to Mitch Barnhart and discuss a buyout. And that's been a lot of rumors out there. It says sources are telling me that Mark Stoops went to Mitch Barnhart after the Tennessee game and said he wanted out and would negotiate the buyout, and it never happened. And that's on X. You see that quite a bit. And so that's what that question was about. Now, obviously, out to public, he's going to say no, because if he even gave that a hint that it was true on any level, that would really hurt him with the team, because they'd be like, okay, he's got a foot out the door. Also, it would hurt him with negotiating a buyout. So that's smart on him not to give that any legs, as he would say. Doesn't mean it's not being discussed, though, because he's got to be miserable. He's not won an SEC game in over a year. So you know he's unhappy. This is a vet. If you've watched Mark Stoops, and I know you Kentucky people have, he's one of the most competitive, fiery coaches I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's times I've been worried about him during games. It's like, this guy's got to calm down or it's not going to end well. And he's not like that anymore. You watch him on the sideline, you don't see that fire, because he knows he's at a huge disadvantage. And that's just a fact. The NIL is a real problem, and we'll get to that.
Don't worry.
But the apathy has set in a major way at Kentucky, and I'm going to give you the prime example. I know apathy when I hear it, and this is what's called negotiating your feelings or trying to set your expectations at a certain level. And it's never a good sign when you see this with a fan base that, you know, had a couple of 10-win seasons. Now, folks, it's never a Kentucky show if I don't show Kentucky Sports Radio and, of course, Nick Roush, one of our absolute favorites down here in Tennessee.
It is not even necessarily before the game. I mean, Kentucky went down 14-0, Van, and Luck is just like, it's over. And I knew it was over, and it was over, but then it wasn't over. And I was just like, it's right. You do the thing. And they didn't do the thing. They couldn't. They just went 3 and out after you got that pick, and then 3 and out, and didn't play complimentary football. It was just so frustrating because Georgia actually gave him a chance despite that strong start. They gave him a chance, and the Cats couldn't take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the toughest part about it is that I'm gonna just be honest. We had no chance of winning it, but obviously style matters. And to go potentially 14-14 early in the second quarter would have been huge, even if it ended up being 35-14, right? But at least you gave the fans that were watching, the few that was watching, a chance to actually believe. And the game changed a little bit if we go tie 14-14. It changed a little bit. Georgia changed a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, and if nothing else, it would have woke up that stadium because, like there's a lot of talk about stadium atmosphere. That's been a big talking point around here. Sanford Stadium was asleep, right? Like there was nothing going on there. Kentucky could have at least woke them up, and they did on that third down. And I thought Cutter made a great throw. Fred Ferrier just catch the football, like.
Yeah, it was as dead as I've seen a stadium since I've started doing this job for an SEC game.
Yeah, you know where you're at with the program when you're hoping, God, if we could just be tied in the second quarter, at least we'd have that. And the other is, we could have woken up the Georgia stadium. We could have got them excited. Maybe they'd have cheered for their home team. I know what that feels like. I mean, I'm not even making fun of them because I know that feeling. When we had Jeremy and sometimes Butch Jones and Dooley and all of that, we'd be playing Alabama against Nick Saban. I was like, just don't embarrass us. Just, God, could we at least make a game out of it till the third quarter? Could we be in the game at halftime? I know how that feels, and it's horrible. That's where Kentucky is. They're into full apathy, and they know there's no turning this around. And Mark Stoops knows it too, full well. And I'm going to show you exactly why there is no turning this around at all. And that's right here. Mark Pope on Kentucky's roster and revenue share. We've got a beautiful Ferrari, and we can't wait to take it for a spin. And here's the Kentucky Blue Ferrari. Mark Pope couldn't be happier. And here's a little part of it. It says, coming into the season, Kentucky was thought to have spent more on its men's basketball roster than any other school, with some estimates upward of $20 million.
What?
Now, they talk about, all these great players they brought in, all these 5 stars. I mean, they're loaded for bear. Now, I don't know if they spent a full $20 million. You can only spend $20.5. And there's talk that it's probably closer to 13 or 14 or 15, something like that. And I'm sure Kentucky football got some money. They had to get at least $5 million. I mean, come on. Now, most teams are doing $15 million for football, $5 million for basketball and others, and setting it up that way. But Kentucky's kind of reversed it, it appears. Now, we don't know the exact numbers, so, I can't confirm any of this. But it sounds, well, look, when Kentucky's filled with 5 stars and high 4 stars like they are, and he's got a Ferrari, and Mark Stoops is driving around in a Yugo, that's a problem. And here's how I know they don't have any money for football to really speak of. I mean, not any significant money. They needed a quarterback for this season. They had Cutter Boley, who would have been a redshirt freshman. He didn't look good last year. It takes a long time for a quarterback to play in the SEC. I think Cutter's a talented kid, but he's not ready, not for this level of football. He might be in a year or two, but most athletes at the quarterback level need 3 years of being in a program, getting to play some ball before they're really able to play at a good level. Cutter's just not quite there. He's got a nice arm, though. I will give him that. But they went out and they got this Zach Calzada guy.
Who?
Dude is from Incarnate Word, and he was a 3-star in the portal. John Mateer's out there. They don't go after him. There's tons of 4-stars in there. They don't go after any of them. And they go, well, we'll take this Calzada guy. And that hadn't worked out at all. He was like the 300th player in the transfer portal. Look, quarterback is the most important position on the football field. It's not even close. It's number 1, 2, and 3. And then you can say an edge rusher's 4, an offensive lineman, wide receiver. And they go out and get a 3-star to be their starter in the SEC. That usually does not work out well. And in the meantime, Kentucky with Mark Pope, he's got 5-stars sitting on the bench. How come Pope has money that can load up on 5-stars, but Kentucky can't even get a 4-star quarterback out of the portal? I mean, that tells you the financial situation that Mark Stoops is in. And when he goes and asks for more money, you know what it looks like.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Yeah, it's just like that. He's begging for more and he's getting nothing. It just kind of is what it is. It's not a fair situation. They're going to be great in basketball. I'll go ahead and tell you, Kentucky's going to compete for the SEC championship. They're going to probably make at least the Sweet 16, and they want to win natties. That's what they care about. They want to win national championships in basketball. In football, at this point, they're probably just hoping for a 500 season, and that's not coming anytime soon. If you do not spend money in NIL on football, you can forget it. And Mark Stoops, yeah, you put yourself a little bit in this situation because now you've got a bad marriage because you went and ran off with Texas A&M and had a fling. And people don't forget that crap. But on the other hand, when it comes to NIL and being able to bring in talent, it is not your fault. It is not.
It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about that, Mark, because you can't win with that amount of NIL. You're just not going to. And I'm sure he's beyond frustrated. He might at some point agree to some sort of a buyout if this continues on. Because if you don't win any SEC games this year, how many would that be? It's possible by the end of this year he could be sitting 1-15 in SEC play over the last 2 years. I don't see a lot of wins in there for him. I mean, let's look at this. Where are they coming? You've got Texas coming in. They're going to outclass you at every position. Arch is not very good right now, but he's as good as what you've got at quarterback, that's for sure. And every other position, they're not even going to be close. Then Tennessee's coming in, and look, we all know how that's going to go. Nick, tell them.
Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange colors, and their stupid song, and their woo, get their woo on out of here.
Yeah, Nick knows. I got to get Nick Roush on my show. I don't know if he'd come on. He'd probably tell me to go to hell, but anyway, I'd love to have him on the show. I need to reach out to him. But anyway, I'm not seeing any wins here at Auburn. Auburn's got a great defense. They got a decent quarterback. He's not great. Florida Gators, I don't know. I don't see it. DJ looked good the other day. Tennessee, okay, you'll beat Tennessee Tech, but they're not in the SEC, so who cares? You're not going to beat Vanderbilt. As long as Diego's there, you're not beating Vanderbilt. And then Louisville whooped up on you last year, something awful, that's your in-state one. That's even more painful. Folks, I don't see any wins in there. Now, he might win one and go, hopefully it's not Tennessee. Let's not go crazy. But he's probably going to go 1-7 or 0-8. And Cutter Boley might end up being a good quarterback one day. He's not going to be probably this season, maybe next season. Like I said, he was a 4-star. I remember him well. As a matter of fact, he came down and visited with Tennessee, and he even reclassified. So he's a young redshirt freshman. But anyway, that's the Kentucky situation. And somebody's got to just tell it like it is. And I have elected myself that person. I think Mark's got an uphill battle every year, and I think their basketball is going to be fantastic. And down deep, the Kentucky fans, they just don't want to be embarrassed in football. They care about basketball. Just don't get it twisted. That's what matters in Kentucky land. If they win a natty up there or get in the Elite Eight or Final Four, they're fine. They just don't want to be embarrassed in football and everybody mock them, which is what's happening right now. Everybody's kind of pointing and laughing at them, and that sucks. And Mark Stoops is a very good coach. He's just in an impossible situation. And he kind of put himself there partially. He knows the NIL deal. And I think he wanted to go to A&M, and I think they backed off. And he was kind of caught in the middle there and like, oh, boy, I've really screwed up. Now I got to go home to the wife, and she's madder than a wet hornet. And I don't have any money to get great players, and it's just going to – and it's been ugly ever since. People don't forget when you go flirt like that. They don't. They get mad about it. Anyway, I wanted to cover Kentucky today, talk about them a little bit. My Tennessee Vols are playing them. Let's see. What's the date on that one again? Let's see. We play them October 25th. We got to go to Kroger Field. That's not a huge home field advantage for them. We'll have plenty of orange up there, that's for sure. Probably a night game, it looks like. Oh, I was going to talk to my Tennessee folks a little bit. Now I'm hearing Jermod McCoy might not play in the Arkansas game. We've been hearing for 2 weeks that he was pushing to that date of playing Arkansas, our big-time cornerback that we really need. But he may not play. It just depends. Josh Heupel threw cold water on that a little bit, although he might be doing one of his deals. Josh Heupel doesn't like to give out information of any kind. You know, we'll see. We'll find out Saturday. We still got 5 days to go or whatever. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, boom, and boom. Hit that little button right there. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.